Wuthering Waves has officially revealed version 3.5, and this update is bringing us back to Xuanling with a completely new region, 2 new 5-star characters, Electro Rover, new banners, exploration activities, events, cosmetics, system improvements, and yes, the game's Xbox release. That said, all of this launches on July 10th, and the storyline beginning in Mengzhou will continue across versions 3.5, 3.6, and 3.7. So let's begin with the biggest addition to the game, the new region of Mengzhou and the mechanism city at the center of this update. The newest version introduces again Mengzhou, land of Xuanfang, the first Xuanling region that Rover will visit outside of Jinzhou. The main location here is Xuanfang Hold, and this is the massive city positioned along the border between Mengzhou and Jinzhou. The city was originally created to contain tacit discord outbreaks and prevent them from spreading through the Northwall Barrens. Almost every building or structure inside the city is connected to one enormous mechanism, and with this, streets, residential districts, and other sections of the city can move independently and rearrange themselves whenever necessary. Places that normally appear to be gardens, bridges, or scenic public areas can become part of the city's defensive system when a battle begins, and Xuanfang in general is operated by autonomous mechanisms known as auto puppets, which were created by Mengzhou's Sentinel, Sin. Now, despite being a heavily fortified city though, Xuanfang is still filled with everyday life. Its machinery is still surrounded by mountains, waterways, pavilions, markets, restaurants, and so much more, and with this, some quests will also incorporate environmental changes based on the seasons, allowing the same areas to appear differently as spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Xuanfang is not only a new region to explore though, because the city is also of course where the story begins. The new story begins with Rover returning to Jinzhou after a long absence and discovers that several people have actually disappeared. Yangyang and Qixia follow the clues towards Xuanfang Hold, but encounter a large number of tacit discords outside of the city. Qixia eventually returns to Jinzhou seriously injured, but to protect Qixia's escape, Yangyang enters the suddenly opened gates of Xuanfang alone, and nobody has heard from her since. Rover then goes to meet Yangyang's older sister Suisui, who had traveled to Jinzhou to visit her. Rover and Suisui then enters Xuanfang together, following Yangyang's frequency traces and investigating what happened to her and the other missing people. The two venture out, and of course they also encounter a mysterious mechanical bird called the Rafter Kite, which appears to be drawn to Yangyang and provides clues during the investigation. Now, as you'd expect, version 3.5 does introduce all this and a main quest chapter and more. However, this also adds chapter 4 segue, the Chant of Unseen Ties, which focuses on Yangyang's previously unseen story. During the main quest though, Rover will obtain a special item that allows players to examine moments on the timeline and experience certain events from another Resonator's perspective. Pretty cool. Completing the version 3.5 main quests also reward the Cloud Ride Expedition motorbike chassis inspired by Xuanfang's traditional vehicle of the same name. The update also expands the main quest fast track system through next stop Mengzhou. After reaching Jinzhou and activating the required Nexus Tower during Chapter 1 though, players can unlock this feature and access later main quest chapters without finishing every previous chapter first, but with Yangyang at the center of the story, she is also receiving a completely new playable form. Insane. Yangyang Xuanling is the first new 5-star Resonator of the update. Her transformation is connected to the Xuanling bird, and this is a spirit native to Xuanfang that was said to sense emotions and carry the feelings of others. The Xuanling birds in general disappeared during the Fortress and Gorges War more than 2 centuries ago, and yes, I know this is actually quite a bit of lore, but to honor them, Xuanfang's craftsmen created the mechanical rafter kites in their image, and these machines now act as messengers throughout the city. In combat, Yangyang Xuanling is a 5-star Havoc Sword Resonator capable of applying Havoc Bane. In terms of gameplay though, she revolves around alternating between 2 sword stances. Yangyang uses a resource called Melody. Once her melody has been depleted though, she can activate an enhanced resonance skill that immediately restores it and generates her forte gauge Azure Plume. After building enough of Azure Plume, she can perform a different enhanced attack depending on her active sword stance. This means she can either channel wind and thunder into her blade to create a massive lightning storm, or launch herself into the air before raining wind blades onto her enemies. Her Resonance Liberation, by contrast, calls upon the Xuanling bird and creates a powerful tempest. The resulting disturbance is strong enough to change the weather in areas that support rain, which is always a super sick effect, but her signature weapon is the new 5-star sword, Azure Oath. The next new character is also closely connected to Yangyang, who you've probably guessed at this point, and it is of course her older sister Suisui. In combat, Suisui is a 5-star Glacio Rectifier Resonator who specializes in applying Glacio Shave. Her forte allows her to command water in different forms, including rivers, rain, mist, and fog. Super crazy again. But she attacks using a water fan, creating flowing currents and landscapes made from water and light. Landing different attacks gradually builds her resource called stillness, and once stillness reaches its max, her resonance skill becomes enhanced. During this enhanced state, Suisui moves through the battlefield while suppressing nearby enemies and building her forte gauge Floral Epistle. Her resonance liberation creates a domain called Ceaseless Landscape, transforming the battlefield into a painted scene filled with mountains, water, and pavilions. Super nice looking. But when another teammate enters the field and activates Suisui's Ultra skill, Suisui flies into the landscape. Now, the amount of gauge that she gathers and the number of interactions with Ceaseless Landscape determines the additional buffs provided to the team, but her signature is the new 5-star rectifier, First Light's Herald. Something I found to be pretty cool though is that the weapon takes the form of Suisui's mechanical bird, and when its wings close and the mechanisms fold together, it transforms into a spherical shape resembling a phoenix egg. Along these two characters though, Rover will also awaken an entirely new element. Electro will become Rover's 4th unlockable element during a key moment in the new main quest, and with it, Electro Rover will apply the Electro Flare effect and use a mechanical wristband capable of transforming into several different weapons. It can become a shield for defense, a blade for close range combat, or a crossbow for ranged attacks. During a charged normal attack, the wristband transforms into a shield, granting Rover immunity to interruption and damage reduction, and successfully blocking attack will briefly stop the enemy. Rover's resonance skill then turns this into a streak of lightning that charges towards enemies and allows them to perform follow-up attacks. Successful attacks will build Rover's forte gauge, and once it's fully charged, pressing the resonance skill again will activate an enhanced resonance skill that lets Rover dash across the battlefield while pulling nearby enemies together. Switching to another teammate during this time grants that character an attack bonus for a short period of time, but alternatively, holding the resonance skill will consume the forte gauge and place Rover in an overload state. Their resonance skill is then replaced by a special moveset that combines powers from Rover's previous Spectro, Havoc, and Arrow elements. This provides access to several different chain attacks that can be performed on the ground or in the air, but Electro Rover's resonance liberation summons lightning from the sky and concentrates it into a large crescent-shaped attack that travels forward through enemies. Now that we have the new playable additions covered, let's move to the version 3.5 banners. The first phase will feature Yangyang, Xuanling, and Linné and Luke will also receive rerun banners during this same phase. Of course, the weapon banners will also then feature Azure Oath, Spectrum Blaster, and Daybreaker's Spine, but the second phase introduces Suisui alongside an Ameth rerun. The weapon selection will also include Suisui's First Light's Herald and Ameth's Everbright Polestar, but version 3.5 will also introduce a group of returning banners called Star Path Reverbs. The available characters on this are Jian, Yinlin, Jinxi, Changli, Zhezhe, and Zhangli Yao. Players can choose their preferred target and change this selection at any time while the banners are active, but as a cool note, the first 10 pulls on this new banner will be free. Additionally, reaching certain milestones through the Gifts of Starpath will also reward additional Radiant Tides, and meanwhile, the Tideforge Reverbs weapon banner will allow players to choose between Stringmaster, Ages of Harvest, Rhyme-Draped Sprouts, and even Verity's Handle. The guarantee count is shared across the Starpath Reverbs character banners, and the weapon guarantee count is shared separately across the Tideforge Reverbs weapon banners too. Both systems remain separate from the normal featured resonator and featured weapon convenes, but characters and banners are only part of the update because Xuanfang is also bringing several activities based around the city's mechanisms. Square Field Sparring places players in control of a kernel puppet sparring and sends it through an obstacle course. In this activity, you have to defeat sparring echoes while avoiding hazards such as axes, trapdoors, and mechanism arrows. Now, within this activity too, you can also temporarily disable traps, allowing you to create a safer route towards the finish line, and Auto Casket is a more relaxed claw machine activity. Before the timer expires, players will use a mechanical claw to collect prizes and throw them into the designated collection zone, but grabbing time dial objects will also add additional time to the countdown, giving you more time and opportunities to collect rewards. Wuthering Waves is also introducing the Mengzhou system, an intelligent platform that records events throughout the region and assists the Mengzhou authorities. After unlocking this, players can browse cases and commissions from across Xuanfang. Wanted cases allow you to examine archived Skywatch records, uncover the identity of suspects, and apprehend them. General commissions, potential cases, and captured suspects reward constable tokens, and these tokens can be used in the system's exchange store for rewards, including the Phantom Smiter Echo appearance. This update also includes 2 larger exploration quests centered around Xuanfang's auto puppets, and the first is Auto Puppets in Fog-Veiled Chambers. In this quest, players will navigate mechanical chambers, overcome obstacles, and completing this quest will reward the Pagoda Puppet Expedition motorbike livery. The second quest is Faithful Heart Tested at Skyfall. In this story, we'll explore the choices that Danjin makes as the crisis unfolds. Completing this will reward the Cinnabar Fealty Avatar and the Phantom Forbidden Bastion Echo appearance. Xuanfang also contains several new tracks designed around the Cloud Ride and the other Expedition motorbikes. Players will be able to race through a route while locking onto targets and destroying obstacles, and there will also be the introduction of gravity tracks which lift the motorbike away from the ground and carry it into shortcuts/alternate paths. Players are not limited to the Cloud Ride and can bring their own existing motorbikes onto these courses though, and the update will also introduce Boosted Drift, a new mode that significantly improves the motorbike's handling and maneuverability while drifting. A new premium model is also being introduced called Nightveil Piercer, and Nightveil Piercer is an all-in-one vehicle and cannot use separate chassis, livery, or accessory customization. Of course though, a new region also means new enemies and new equipment to collect. Xuanfang introduces a large selection of mechanical enemies and auto puppets, including the 1000 Puppet Pavilion and Myriad Snare Rustfire chassis. 3 new Sonata sets can also be obtained by exploring Xuanfang: Song of Feathered Trace, Heart of Evil's Purge, and Lamp of Nether Road. After exploring the region itself though, players will also have a large selection of events and recurring challenges to complete. A glimpse of Xuanfang will reward players for completing exploration objectives through the new region, and its rewards include astrites, upgrade materials, and the Xuanfang Wonder Sigil. Shape of Yesterday is a photo collection event that sends players to designated locations to photograph Xuanfang's scenery and atmosphere. Lament Recon Tacit Crisis brings back the simulation gameplay previously seen in Lament Recon Solaris Soldier, and your equipped weapon automatically attacks nearby Tacit discords while you focus on movement, positioning, and avoiding enemy attacks. Recaptured Action Highlights is another combat photography event, and players must capture specific actions and movements performed by designated targets. Slow Motion will return with this, alongside new framing options including cinematic, landscape, portrait, and square formats. The Lalo campaign will also return with New Journey, and completing designated event tasks will reward Lalo stamps, which again can be used in a lottery containing astrites and other rewards, which is always nice. There will also be a new tactical hologram, Sparring, introducing a new version of Denia with an even more aggressive combat style. Virtual Crisis Quadrant Trials allows players to equip and combine stress modules that make the challenge more difficult, but of course, support modules can then be selected to counter the effects of these stress modules. Players looking for the highest difficulty can also attempt the Disaster Trial, and the End State Matrix will enter a new cycle called Adversity Vanguard. This cycle changes several rules and scoring systems. Certain designated resonators will receive an additional point of vigor during each challenge stage, and more resonators will receive, well, more upgrades. A new medal system will also record your achievements, while the enemy round progression display provides more information about the remaining enemy waves. Rewards for this will include astrites, the Blade of 1000 Arts weapon projection, and an exclusive sigil, but outside of these new gameplay events, version 3.5 is also adding several new cosmetics. Linne and Chisa are receiving new summer events, and both will make their debut during version 3.5. Yangyang's Xuanling's Cloudlark accessory and Suisui's Upon Rosy Clouds accessory will also be added to the store, but Cloudlark takes the form of a small Xuanling bird, while Upon Rosy Clouds is a hair ornament that features flowing ribbons and a Chongming bird. The game icon will also temporarily change from the original Yangyang to Yangyang Xuanling throughout version 3.5, but the update will also add a new Xuanfang themed login screen and updated theme music. After this though, there were announcements for several quality of life and technical improvements. Players will be able to select a different voiceover language for individual resonators, and a batch selection option will also make it easier to apply these settings to multiple characters. Individual character language settings will only apply outside of story content, and main quests and other story scenes will continue to use the voice language selected in the main settings menu. Story autoplay will also receive full auto and semi-auto modes, where full auto continues through dialogue choices without stopping, although players can pause and take control whenever they want. Semi-auto, by contrast, keeps more of the existing manual interactions during story progression though, and meanwhile, material instances in Jinzhou, the Black Shores, and Renacida can now be accessed directly through the guidebook without having to travel back to their physical locations. For certain material instances in regions such as Lahairoi, players must first unlock the corresponding map marker before direct guidebook access can become available. The guidebook's filtering options are also being improved, and skill and weapon materials can now be filtered based on weapon type, making resources easier to locate. A new synthesis option called bioprinting lets players use regenerative pistols to create resonator progression progression materials from regions including Jinzhou, the Black Shores, and Renacida. Regenerative pistols can also be obtained through the Oscillated Coral Store, and the enemy section of the gallery and the Echo Gallery in the databank will now receive dynamic display effects. New accounts created after the update, though, will gain access to an updated beginner event and a new set of newcomer rewards. In addition to this, Rover's character model will also receive visual improvements, including additional detail in the outfit, fabric folds, scarf textures, and overall presentation. On PC, version 3.5 also adds support for Intel Xe SS 3-frame generation on compatible Intel graphics hardware. This setting can be adjusted after enabling this feature to achieve higher frame rates. New resource compression technology is also expected to reduce the install size of the 3.5 PC client by about 20 gigs compared to version 3.4, but on mobile, resource cleanup will also support a wider range of completed instance files and remove more unused data. A separate voice resource cleanup option will also allow players to delete voice packs that they aren't currently using, but the final part of the broadcast focuses primarily on events, collaborations, merchandise, and new platforms. Ticket sales for the Wuthering Waves World Tour to the New World will begin across multiple regions, and concert attendees will receive the World Tour gift pack. This pack contains the Perfect Pitch Rover accessory and the Starlit Encore sigil, but after the concert tour concludes in each region, the gift pack is also planned to become available through the in-game store for that server. Wuthering Waves will also appear at Anime Expo 2026 in Los Angeles, and the previously revealed PS5 Deluxe Collection will also begin pre-orders soon. This includes a physical PS5 game disc, a collection of merchandise, and an exclusive in-game Phantom Echo reward. Wuthering Waves is also collaborating with Escape from Duckov, and with this, a free Escape from Duckov Expedition motorbike livery will also be distributed through an upcoming social media event. A merchandise collab with Hey Dolls was also revealed, and finally, Wuthering Waves officially launches on Xbox on July 10th alongside version 3.5. Xbox Game Pass players will also be able to claim exclusive in-game rewards, with further details planned for a future announcement. Before we end things though, here are the 3 redemption codes revealed during the broadcast: Mechanism City, Into the Fog, and Reunion. And that covers everything officially announced during the Wuthering Waves version 3.5 special broadcast. The update launches on July 10th. There's so much to be excited for, and I apologize, I know there's a lot of terminology and special labels and terms that I mentioned in today's video. Thanks again for watching though, I'll see you all next time. Stay safe, stay healthy, good night.